At the end of the weekly forecast there, I was like talking about piracy and in the context of cancer stuff going on. And so I was packing up here and was like gonna go back and do my little video editing and whatever. And then I just was like, there's something here about power. Like cancer power is extremely powerful, and we don't necessarily notice that. Like if you look at astrology memes and stuff like that, then cancer kind of seems a little soft and sensitive, and doesn't seem like it's powerful in the way that like maybe Capricorn or Aries is powerful, right? Capricorn and Aries get shit done, and Cancer wants to hug you, right? But then it's, this is a style of thinking that is a little too yang dependent, right? So the idea being yang is the sunny side of the hill and yin is the shady side of the hill, right? So there's this like basic duality that is all of the things there. Like yang is typically upward moving and yin is typically downward moving, and this sort of stuff, right? And there's yang and yin inside of all of the things, and then at a fractal level there's like all the yang and yin everywhere. This is a foundational concept you've probably heard of. So we live in a moment in a society in place and time which strongly favors yang style approaches. So you get a lot of like strong male figures, for example, who want to push things around and like empire building and this sort of stuff. And so there's a lot of sort of obvious overt power in that kind of dynamic, but because we live in that sort of society, then we can miss that there's a lot of power to be had in quiet cultivation. And so quiet is important here because we've got Mercury in Cancer, and Mercury is the communicator planet, and underneath the water, I think Serapio says that Mercury in a water sign is mute, right? So being quiet about things and not necessarily announcing all of the stuff. And so I was talking about piracy, and maybe like you don't necessarily need to announce your like pirate intentions, right? But you go and do the thing. But then thinking about Cancer, Cancer is associated with the moon and the mother a lot, right? And so, it's interesting that this is such a strong kind of power that it was explicitly invoked by the fascists in Spain in the 30s. So under Francisco Franco, then there was a campaign to get mothers on board with the government agenda. And so the idea was that mothers are raising children who would then grow up to be great citizens of the nation, right? That was the idea. And so there were massive, not only propaganda campaigns aimed at mothering women, but also support networks, which went into making sure that women did a good job raising fascist children, right? And so what the government structure of that time and place knew was that mothers have an enormous capacity to shape the way that we actually go about doing things, right? The way that that society actually functions, even though mothers are frequently at home. They're not out in the world doing all this yang stuff, like swinging hammers and doing stuff and pushing stuff around and all that, right? You don't necessarily even think about, like, because it's unpaid labor for a lot of the time, and all of the things like that, right? So the idea of, and then in a post third wave feminism time and place where we live now, then you've got this sense of like domesticity, or being in the house, or being like a housewife or a house mother. A stay-at-home mom is the word for that. Is to be lesser than in some kind of way, or is to be belittled, or something like this. And so because of that sort of like ideation, then we get to this place where motherhood is sort of maligned. Its authority, its power to shape the world that we actually live in is not well understood or not well used. And so so it's just interesting to think about that. And so a lot of the folks who watch this channel are going to be somebody's mom, but even if you aren't someone's mom, then we can think about maybe finding ways to cultivate a kind of yin power that may be as effective or more effective even than the kind of yang power that pushes things around and creates empires. Like if you create empires that then don't foster the youth, then your shit topples immediately, right? And so how can we think then about doing whatever necessary outward moves need to be done, but then also really cultivating the yin, the things that you don't necessarily think about all the time, the thing like thinking cancer thoughts, right? Thinking about nourishment and nurturing and hugs, not only hugging up the babies, but maybe if you aren't a baby, maybe you still need hugs and this kind of thing, right? Like it's big, like you cannot pour from an empty cup kind of energy here, right? So like you've got to find a way to fill your own self up in order to go out into the world and do all the yang stuff. And so this is a good week to contemplate this kind of way of structuring a model of power in our own heads and bodies, and then thinking maybe from there up to something like a community level or something like this. So I don't know, this is something to think about, and I think that this is a very good week to do that kind of thinking.